Hey guys, so I know I've been out of sorts lately and I've kind of been offline. Um, Lately, I just went through an experience that I haven't experienced in a long time. I'm off the heart monitor, thank God, and I don't have the results back, but right at the end of when the heart monitor was on, I got a huge sore. I get these they're not MRSA, but they're staph sores from the endocarditis on the outside of my heart. And I get them like around where your lymph nodes are in your body, under your arms, in your groin, your leg region. So I got one on my left breast and it was about the size, there we go, there's the light. It was about the size of a lemon this time. So I got put on some pretty strong antibiotics this past week, and with my brain injury, my brain surgery that I had 11 years ago, anytime that I'm on really, really, really strong antibiotics, my mind goes loopy and I sleep a lot. So I slept a lot this week. I mean, not on top of the past month that I've slept, obviously. So I'm back, and I had two great meetings this morning, actually. And the first one was a self-employed survivor workshop where I was able to connect with 5 more survivors that need some consultation work to help get their businesses up and running. And then we had a Kids Win Missouri basically checkup, I guess you could say, about where we all stand. And we spoke a lot about HB 557, which, as I said, at the end of the last legislative session, I was working on a lot of federal work that I can't talk about with task forces, and I really wasn't up to date. I was kind of keeping an eye on the legislative session, but and I knew we were working on 527. I knew it passed, but I did not know that there was some a lot of questions have arose about this. So we have some questions and we have some feedback work that we need to get done about this, because Kate has some questions about it. Diaz has some questions about it. Agency-wide, look, we have some licensing agency work to get to work around. We have some reactive situations going on. We're wanting to know why it's so hard to get these license agencies started with these background checks. Have been going on for a while. In the 2022 session, we do know, a lot of people brought up a question today, how hard is it going to be to get bills passed in the 2022 session as an advocate or as an organization? How hard is it going to be for you to get your legislators to actually pass a bill? Well, I didn't really have the time or the ability to answer this question in the meeting. It's going to be really hard because this is the arena I am in. And I didn't really want to shock everybody in that meeting, but this year is very crowded with the American Rescue Plan, with the COVID plan, with a lot of stuff that did not get done last year. So if you had bills that you were wanting to get thrown into the session this year, hopefully you pre-filed them last year, because if they were not pre-filed last year, most likely they will not get hit till next year. And that is just the sad truth. A lot of people don't understand that the way legislation works is even if you file a bill, like I had bills pre-filed for last year, before last year was started, that we have not even touched, that we're hoping that will be touched this year, that have to deal with the human trafficking laws and our sexual exploitation. And it's just, it's a fluid, it's like a merry-go-round. I just can't find the right word, really. So with the 2022 session, with the 557, with the state issued IDs to get a job, we've got a group of people that are really working on this. So we've got questions like, how do we certify it? They've got questions like, do we waive the cost? Do we waive the documentation? These are questions that the actual license bureau is asking. So we're trying to figure these out now. I personally have been working with a Schoolhouse Connection with Julian for 6 years now. Craig over at Kidswood, Missouri, they have a relationship with them for the past year. This is something that I've been doing this will be my 7th year now. So I'm going to try to bridge that gap for the state of Missouri with the Schoolhouse Connection and Craig. And try to build a better bridge for Missouri with the federal government on this issue. Now, this does not fall under No More Tears. This falls under the Aurora Hope Foundation, because this is our other organization that works with our development in policies and procedures and direct support for homeless children and homeless veterans. So this does not have, this is a totally different organization. This is the one that my son wanted to start with me, because he grew up in these homes. He grew up in the youth system. He understands the fallacies that we have with these systems. And him and the other generation that's around 19, 20, 21, 22 years old have started coming to me, telling me what these problems in these systems are. It allows us as an oh my God, I can't say it. As investigators and as working with investigators, we're able to go back to the advocates and the actual direct service providers and let them know, hey, this is what the requirements are that are needed for these kids to actually be safe and have the right mental health stability and capacity. This is what they need. And this is where the gaps are. So with residency requirements, there is some feedback loops. We really want to make sure they don't go through identity theft. That's something that I went through as a young person. We want to make sure that the IDs are sent to an agency and not to those abusive foster parents or caregivers' homes, because we don't want those children to have to go back to those homes to get those IDs. If they're not there in 7 to 10 days, if they're not picked up, they're sent back to the license office. But if you are under 18, you do have, this was the main thing on the federal level that we were trying to fix. If you're under 18 and you're in an abusive situation, you don't have to have that parent or guardian to get your license. You just have to have your birth certificate. And then you can go get your social security number. And then you can go get your license on your own. You don't have to have that abusive parent or caregiver to get your own license and birth certificate to get safe residency. But I do understand, how do we document that they've given the correct amount of hours? There are a lot of questions that we still have to figure out on this, which is why I want to work with the federal side of this. And then Casey Nail's working with Representative Pike to find out the answer for the CATE service provider requirements. Now, this is something that I've been talking about for 2 to 3 years. When you're a member of Missouri CATE, you have federal background checks, you have service provider requirements. We had a page of 3 pages long with one bill for the human trafficking bill that we were going to present, where there was 3 pages of service providers that would have been able to receive state funding and federal funding, when only 46 providers were members of Missouri CATE that had went through federal background checks. That was a problem, and that was something that we brought up to the state of Missouri, and that's where this all started. So House Research and Mary Elizabeth Coleman, I love her when it comes to this. She's on it. You know, the article just came out that we had, you know, it said 1,000, but 975 children go missing within our within our database of children through the foster care system, through CPS. How does that happen? How does that happen? Now, if you go back and you look at from the beginning of Polaris, Polaris.org, you know, Polaris that tracks human trafficking cases with the Human Trafficking National Research Institute, it stated that Missouri had a certain amount of numbers, all the way from the beginning of Polaris. Well, when Allison Phillips joined the team for 1 year, and I got a hold of her, you know, she told me, we found out we didn't even have a relationship with Polaris. Well, if Missouri never had a relationship with Polaris, how were we reporting numbers to Polaris? I give her great kudos. I give the team great kudos. I give the state of Missouri, the people involved, great kudos for uncovering this and getting on this. Because on my side of it, when I'm working with the federal side of cracking down and finding out where these children are, and then we've got the state side of it actually cracking down to find out where these children have went, it's not the legislators' fault. We have to look at the executive and the judicial side and find out in the courts, where have these children went? Look at in CPS and DFS, where are the regulations? Where are the home checks? What is going on? I fought for 10 years and made sure I turned in all of my paperwork to make sure that when this all happened, the truth would come out about my case, and it has. But that's not what the point is. The point is, where are these missing children? I know where mine is. We want to know where these missing children are. It's not the story of what happened to the parents, where are the parents, what are they doing now? Where are the children? And what has happened to them in the meantime of while they've been in this system? We must do better, Missouri. We have to do better. It's our job to do better than what our parents did and our grandparents and our forefathers. And it's our job to be an example. We're leaders. And if we have to be an example for other states, so be it. In the past year and a half, I've been asked by 3 separate entities if I would run for office. And I've turned them all down because I felt like it wasn't the time. I'm getting ready to finish the Veterans Women Leadership Program with the Mission Continues for the Cohort 3. Tomorrow, I start the New Politics Leadership Academy. And it's a 5-week academy. I signed up for it, did not know if I would be entered into it or accepted, and I was accepted. That does not saying I'm going to run for office or that I'm going to do any of that. But it is stating that I am making a choice and a decision on where my future leads. This country needs good leaders. This country needs people who are going to listen and communicate and sit down with everyone and anyone and take their ideas and their concerns and take them into accountability and actually listen and love and not spew hate, and try to bring this country back together to where it's supposed to be. When it says that this nation is one nation under God, I have been all around the world, and I have lived in 28 states. God is worshipped in many different ways and many different forms, and we need to realize that. I've heard God called Allah, Buddha, Ashir, Thor, Odin. I mean, as long as you have a higher power that you believe in, that's your God. This country was founded on immigrants and stolen from the Native Americans. We always need to remember that. Black people were slaves, white people were slaves. We're all a mixture of our ancestors. I know my history. If you don't know yours, you should research it. But all this hate that's out there, we've got to stop, because it's just hurting us, and it's hurting our kids. Our kids want it to stop, and that's the main thing that I'm trying to put out there today. For a better Missouri, for a better tomorrow, and for a better nation, let's do this together. I'm back. I'm not sick no more. So let's do this. We got 2022 coming up. The Aurora Hope Foundation, it's back. No More Tears is too, but that's going in a different direction. So we're focusing on the Aurora Hope Foundation. Alrighty, guys. Have a good day. It's Monday.